this lesson, we're going to take a look at fire and electrical safety. I'm sure your first question when looking at this lesson is, why are we looking at fire and electrical safety? I'm a nurse, not a firefighter. The truth is, it's a safety issue, and we need to make sure that we keep our patients safe. So when we talk about electrical safety, we want to focus on prevention. You can do things to prevent electrical issues like fires and equipment malfunction. So think like your IV pump is not working. What you want to do is inspect your equipment. You always want to make sure that none of the plugs are frayed, or that the equipment actually works when you plug it in and it works appropriately. And the last thing you want is like your IV pump to malfunction, or your mechanical ventilator to not malfunction. And the other thing you want to also do is make sure that you don't use any of these things near water. So what happens if the patient gets shocked? Unplug the equipment. You want to not necessarily disconnect them, unplug it from the wall, because what will end up happening is that equipment will continue to malfunction as long as there is continued current through it. So just make sure you unplug the equipment. If you have an issue that you suspect may be not working right, tag it and remove it and send it to the people that take care of it. That way it can be repaired or replaced. The other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you use the red outlets. Red outlets are plugged into the backup generator. So I've had patients on the unit where we get a power surge throughout the hospital and the power is killed through all of the through the entire unit. First thing we do is, who's got a vent? Run, make sure those vents are still working, make sure they're plugged in the right outlets, because the last thing you want is life-saving equipment that gets not plugged into the right outlet, and then there's a problem. Fire prevention is an easy thing to address. The best way to fight fires, again, is to prevent them. Like Smokey says, you always want to check your equipment often. Like we talked about with the frayed cords, if you have a frayed cord to suspect it's not that it's going to be a fire hazard, don't use it. The other thing you want to check is your extinguishers. There's usually in the hospital, there are people assigned to do that, to make sure they're up to code, the fire marshal, all that. But just make sure that you would check your extinguishers every now and then, just to say, hey, this is out of date. You also want to make sure that you follow and enforce any smoking policies. Most hospitals have no smoking policies. You know, the hospital I was at, the patients actually had to be off, like outside of the hospital. So it was not uncommon to see people outside with their IV pumps smoking away. So, but there is usually a safe distance that they have to be in. And you want to make sure that if you see somebody smoking in an area that's supposed to be non-smoking, call them out. Hey, this is not a smoking area. Not only is smoking bad, but don't smoke around here. You're going to cause a fire. Make sure that you don't block any doors with equipment or furniture. You got to have a good path out if there's a case of a fire. So the last part of this is we want to know where the oxygen shutoff is. And here's why. Oxygen is flammable. And so if you have a fire, it just makes that fire burn hotter. It makes it burn faster. It makes it spread a lot easier. And if you have oxygen that's just fueling the fire, then it makes it more difficult to get out and make sure everybody is safe. So know where your oxygen shutoff is. It's usually behind like the nurse's station. So know where it's at. Just find out so that you can turn it off if you need to. So what do we do if there is a fire? We need to think about how fires impact what we do. And it really focuses on safety of the patient. So there are two acronyms that we look at, which are RACE and PASS. RACE is what you do if there's a fire. You want to rescue your patient. So you want to move your patient to a safe area, or put them in a position to where they will be safe. Like if there's a small trash can fire down the hall, hey, close your patient's door, make sure everything is safe, and keep an eye on that. Most of those times, those small ones can be contained. But you always want to focus on your patient's safety. The next one is activating the alarms. If you have a fire alarm right next to wherever you're at and you see a fire, hit that alarm so that you can make sure that your patient is safe and that everybody else knows about it, because that doesn't help if you're the only one that knows. Contain the fire. So this is things like shutting your doors. You can also put wet towels at the bottom of the door, and that keeps the fire from spreading. And then if you have the opportunity to extinguish the fire, then do it. And that's where pass comes in. So pass, this is a pin right here. A lot of people don't know where the pin is. They say, hey, I've got the fire extinguisher and I'm squeezing and squeezing and squeezing and it's not working. The first thing you do is pull the pin right there, pull it out. Then you're going to aim the nozzle at the fire, at the base of the fire. And then you're going to squeeze this trigger. This is the trigger right here. You're going to squeeze it together and then you're going to sweep from side to side. So this is your fire. Oh no, there's a fire. And then this is you. And you're going to aim that nozzle right here. You're going to squeeze and you're going to sweep from side to side. And that should contain this fire. But again, focus on making sure your patients are safe. And then if you have the opportunity to put out a small fire because you know how to use this fire extinguisher, then do it. And if you can't, and that thing continues to grow, then get the heck out of there. As always, we're going to check out our nursing concepts. And our nursing concepts for this lesson, for fire safety, focus on, you guessed it, safety. So let's recap. When it comes to electrical safety, inspect your equipment. Make sure it's working. Make sure it's not frayed. The best way to fight fires is to prevent them. They don't happen often, but if you know how to prevent them, then you can eliminate or at least reduce the occurrence of fires. Race. You're going to rescue your patient, activate the alarms, contain the fire by protecting your patient, closing the doors, and then extinguish it if you have the opportunity. Pass. Pull the pin, aim it at the base, squeeze, and then sweep from side to side. Don't be a hero. Everybody wants to be a hero, but don't be a hero. If you get one shot at this and it's a small fire, cool, great. If not, get out. Last thing you need to know is where's the oxygen. Know where that oxygen shutoff is so that you can keep that fire from spreading. That's our lesson on electrical and fire safety. Make sure you check out all the resources attached to this lesson. Now go out and be your best selves today. And as always, happy nursing.